Some of these students come up to me and they always say, we don't know when you're kidding. We don't know when it's a real story or if it's one of your narratives that are used to, get us to understand and, have some fun. All of the, if you just remember the narrative, then you get the information, but they go, we don't know when. So I think what we're going to do for the entire tenure of this advanced master section of our portfolio, art school, is if I say to you, let me tell you a story that never happened, or let me tell you something that never happened, that will start the narrative. Okay, is that a deal? And then when I'm done, if I say, now let me tell you the real thing, then that could transition us out of that narrative and into what is, more, getting down to basics. But when I say, let me tell you something that never happened, please listen, because a lot of hours go into this, these narratives. And if you just remember the narrative, then you're pretty well good to go. It has all the information in there, and I clear them with a lot of our professional people, educators, a psychiatrist, child psychiatrist, a friend of mine, and I'll run the narratives by him. And when I told him I was going to stop doing it in the university, he was pretty upset because he said, "No, that's what your teaching's based on, and it works. But let's do it for here, and we can have some fun. We'll keep it PG because remember, PG stands for perfectly Googleable." So let me tell you guys a story that never happened. I was trained young and trained in the fundamentals young. And I remember starting at a university, and I remember this, one of the instructors, I don't know if it was male or female, it doesn't matter, it was so long ago. But this professor had this obsession for tone. And that's fine because, tone's important. Without tone, we form and love tone. But here's where my life really took a turn. And the fact that I'm sitting here in front of you right now is almost a miracle, because this teacher had this very strange obsession on tone and cubes. I mean, it's like if you couldn't draw a perfect cube, and I keep thinking, what's a perfect cube? I mean, if you want a perfect cube, go to engineering. This is a drawing class, But I have this perfect rendered cube again and again and again. And every time my art, my feeling, my love for my art went away. And then, do it again and do it again. And I remember the first day when the instructor said to me, "Hey, you want some tone?" And it was such a trigger, because I remember all my teachers telling me, be careful, tone can be a drug, it could be dangerous. And I said, no, I'm good. But the pressure was so extreme. And I don't know where this teacher got this tone from, but when I tried it, and it felt so good. I mean, I've never felt anything like that before. And I was hooked. I was hooked on the first time. I mean, I always hear you can get hooked on these drugs on the first time. But I never thought that would happen to me because I was so trained. But I gotta tell you, it felt so good. Almost as good as the ability that I can teach you and know that my pauses, these thought out pauses that I'm doing right now, are going to end up in the end in this video and not be cut out. And I turned to that professor. I said, "What did you put in that tone? I've never felt anything like it before." And he said, "Do you want some more?" And I know the voice in my head was saying no. But I took it, and it felt so good. And I found myself needing more. And I found myself using the tone in placement. It was replacing my design. I was replacing my structure. I was replacing my knowledge with this tone. And I found every day, every hour, I was taking more. And then I couldn't get enough. And I was starting to get a little strung out. I was getting a little nervous, and I was, running up to my friends and peers in the hallway and saying, "Hey man, do you got some stone? You got some tone?" I'm like stoned out on this thing. I can't even think. And I looked in their eyes, and they had the same. They had the same look, and they had the same feeling, and they were drugged out on this tone. And I was just running down. I'm like, "Hook me up, man. Just hook me up, please. Hook me up. Hook me up, okay?" But they couldn't, because they needed it. And I remember looking for this professor. "Where are you?" And he wasn't anywhere to be found. I think one of the second lowest times was when I was in the hallway in a fetal position, and all I was just going was, "Hook me up, please. Could someone just, I'm hurting." It's like I'm hurt. You just get that feeling in your stomach where your rectus abdominis is just in your external obliques are just like compressing. I'm like, I was like, it's like you're heaving. You're like, "I'm hurting, man. Hook me up, man. I'm hurting. I'm hurting." And people are just stepping over me. And I'm like, could this get any lower? And then I think the worst part was when I was outside and I was laying in the dirt in the back of the art building. I was just like grabbing tone from the ground and just like rubbing it on the paper and just taking this like kneaded eraser and just rubbing this stuff off. And I like remember with my old animation teacher, his voice echoing in my head saying, "They needed rubber, and I'm like, why do you call a kneaded eraser a kneaded rubber?" And I'm like having these flashbacks, these like acid flashbacks, and I'm looking, I had my kneaded eraser, which he was calling kneaded rubber, and I was pulling on it, and I saw these lines, and I thought, man, if you need a rubber, don't use this one. It's going to be really dangerous, And I was just having these weird flashbacks of all my life in the structure, and I was just rubbing dirt on the paper and picking it out with these. And I'm like, who would ever put stuff all over a paper and then just pick it out without doing a lay-in and design and composition and spending 70 hours on it? I was like, and I was having all these weird, like acid, trips on tone and picking out with erasers, and that's when I knew I had to change. So I went off of it about 20 some odd days later, and I looked at my work, and I had shape now. I had rhythm. I had structure. Things were fitting again. I had anatomy, which was knowledge. I had value, and the value was the tone, but it was careful. I mean, like, you get a drug from a pharmacist, it's given to you by a doctor, they're careful, they look at you and it's based on you, and so I had my tone, but only after I did my scribble, shape, and form, after I understood my drawing, my gesture, construction, anatomy, and then I put the tone where it was needed, but only taken as prescribed, which was, during the technique stage. I would never put tone in the beginning, but I'm seeing it around me. I go online and I'm looking at tutorials, and they're putting tone down first on shape, and I'm thinking, oh my God, these poor people, they're so strung out. But I felt great, I'm back, I felt good, and I put the color on top of the tone, and my career got going again. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I now exit the narrative, and I say to you, let's do it right. Let's learn our story, learn our design, learn our rhythms. Let's learn our structure. Let's study the mechanics behind what we're drawing. Let's know how it all fits together. And then when we put our tone on, we'll do it conservatively, we'll do it right. We'll let it push the narrative forward. We'll do it under the guidance of a doctor or a mentor, and have a career. Okay, you ready to get started? Here we go. Buckle your seatbelt.